Hi there, art and space fans. This is E. Lee Wilson Jr., your favorite science based artist, and I've been spending the evening trying to get the lighting right for this set I've created for my YouTube channel and TikTok. I guess you call it a channel. Not much on TikTok, although I've been on YouTube for a little while. But I've got somebody very special that's helping me through this whole TikTok learning experience. And I'm just making a little statement here about how um, interesting, but yet a little bit frightening this is for me to kind of go out on a limb and do this. And so it's kind of interesting story that I have that brought me to this point. And I have to blame Neil deGrasse Tyson for this. It's all his fault because he's the one who turned me into a science based artist. And so I just have made a turn. This was back in 2014. And for about 5 years, I'd been working to create a body of tropical and beach stuff because I love the tropics. I love the beach and I love the color of the water in the Caribbean. And I was painting my passion. And I had a style that kind of blends abstract and representational. And so I did that for a while. And then in the spring of 2014, a new version of the Cosmos series, first done by Carl Sagan. I've been a big fan of his for since I was a kid, and I looked at this new series. It was called Space Time Odyssey, hosted by Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is an astrophysicist. And this was such a giant leap, if you'll pardon the expression, beyond what was accomplished in the 1980s when Carl Sagan was doing his work. It was state of the art at the time. But when you look, you go another 30, almost 35 years into the future, the things that could be accomplished, it just blew me away. And I was looking at that, remembering what Carl originally said in the original Cosmos, and that was that there are more stars in the sky than there are grains of sand on all the beaches of the earth. And when I look up at the sky and I look at that, I'm thinking, that is a cosmic ocean. And that was the link that I needed between my beach and tropical stuff. And a new series I started creating that year called Cosmos and Visions of the Cosmos. And had some exhibitions. I learned to exhibit and talk about this work. And when we got to my first solo exhibition of my Cosmos work in Florida at the Eastern Florida State Planetarium and Observatory, that was 2016, about 8 years ago, I did docent tours of my work and talked about the science behind each of the paintings. And sometimes there'd be a group of young people in there. And some of the things that I do in my paintings is I embed materials. It's mixed media, so I use beach sand and seashells. Creates a wonderful texture. But also I use other things like crystal dust and diamond dust, meteorite dust, and actual pieces of meteorite themselves. And when I did this tour, I had one of those meteorites in my pocket. And went through painting by painting, talking about the science, asking questions, asking him, hey, can you find the meteorite in this painting? And so we went through that. And at the very end, I pulled that meteorite out of my pocket. And I said, this is a real meteorite fragment. Just imagine a meteorite fragment right there. And I said, who would like to hold one? And of course, they all held up their hands. And I would find one of the younger ones. And he'd hold out his hand. Well, this particular kid, I remember him, held out his hand. And I put that meteorite in his hand. And I said, this is the oldest thing you will ever hold in your hand. And I said, it's 4.5 billion years old. And then I explained how much a billion was and that was the age of our solar system. And you could see their heads exploded. I mean, it was like, boom, the feeling of that. And of course, they passed it around. Everybody got to hold it. And that moment was when I realized how cool it would be to teach science concepts through my fine art. And it's been a long time since then, and I've never really gotten to the point where I could create a venue to do that. And then a few months ago, I got into a situation where I was thinking about this more. And I realized at the time that maybe YouTube and TikTok and other social media might be a great way to do this. So I'm in the process of creating these educational videos, maybe with a little humor, but the visual of the artwork to be able to use that as a springboard to talk about basic concepts in astronomy, planetary science, even astrophysics and some cosmology. And I'm curious to see how this goes. I think that not just young people, but any general audiences, people would be interesting to learn about this type of science in this type of way. So anyway, let's find out. I'm curious to see what you guys think and if this is something that might catch on. Um, I've done a search for science-based art, and there's practically nothing out there like this. So let's find out if I'll start a trend. Um, I'm pretty excited about it, so I hope you will be too. Have a good evening, and ad astra. Well, seems like this little video journal turned into a story. So, if you would, please comment and give me some feedback. Let me know what you think about this idea. And the quality, again, this was just not intended to be anything. I was just kind of talking to myself. And I like the way the story came across. So if you would, give me a little like on the video and subscribe to the channel, and let's see what happens. So anyway, thank you for your help.